And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to The Bald Truth. Phone number 888-659-3727. Sorry for the late start today, guys. Got back from the Mother's Day's festivities a little late. And then when I came into the studio and tried to hook up everything, my computer crashed. And the software that I used was just not working. So I guess that's the nature of the game. 888-659-3727, toll-free number. If you are new to the program, don't know who I am or why I'm here, this is the Hair Loss Show. I'm doing this program for about 14 years, and the reason I can do this show every week is because 200,000 of you are waking up each and every day realizing for the first time that you're losing your hair. You know, I just realized I didn't hook up with my syndicator. That's how screwed up I am. He's calling in right now. Andrew, I'm so sorry about that, man. I apologize. Hopefully the sound is good. Let's start that over. If you're just tuning in on all the other online resources besides Stickam and The Bald Truth, you're watching The Bald Truth. Self-help radio for guys and for girls who get it. Andrew and GFQ guys, I apologize for that. I've been kind of harried, but I'm glad that you decided to call because I would have forgotten about you. Let me give out the phone number for guys just tuning in, 888-659-3727. And again, this is the Hair Loss Show. I am a consumer advocate for men and women dealing with hair loss, author of The Bald Truth and the Truth About Women's Hair Loss. And this is a place where not only are you going to get completely objective information about anything and everything hair loss, but we're offering you guys a place to vent, a place to learn, a place to share. He's like, Andrew's like, you never called me. I'm so sorry, dude. This is a place where, this fraternity, which none of us want to belong to, but we're here. So we have to do our best to deal with it. This is a place where this fraternity can come each and every week and discuss the reality of being a hair loss sufferer, the reality of living with hair loss, the reality of living life and succeeding, hopefully, in life as a hair loss sufferer. And if you're watching this broadcast, if you're listening, you can't see me, but if you're watching this broadcast, then I'm sorry, I'm being distracted. Yes, I know I'm getting old, guy, and I am recording, so don't worry. If you are watching this broadcast and you see this guy with hair in his head, let me tell you, I've been lucky enough to stop the progression, or I should say slow the progression of hair loss with FDA-approved medication that I started back in around 1995. So, and the drug that I use is now marketed as Propecia. I've had pretty significant success with the drug, but it's not all the drug that is making this semblance of a full head of hair look the way that it does. There's a quasi-comb over involved. I use a cosmetic concealer in the back to kind of like cover the contrast between my scalp and the hair that I have back there. And voila, I'm a guy that looks like he has a relatively decent head of hair. Today it's a little more Trumpier, than usual, I think. But I just kind of rushed in. But this program is again not just about learning about products and services that work, and you have to understand that I'm not here to sell you anything. So you're not going to hear commercials for the Hair Club or for any companies that you're used to hearing commercials for when you're talking about or people are discussing hair loss. You're not going to hear any commercials on this broadcast at all. But what you are going to hear about is completely objective information about anything and everything hair loss, the reality of dealing in this hair loss industry, what to avoid when you're considering doing anything for your hair loss, and what really works. And again, like I said before, I got interrupted and realized I didn't, set up with my syndicator. It's a place to vent, a place to share and to learn from each other, and, a place to bullshit about a topic that society doesn't allow us to talk about. Let me give out the phone number, 888-659-3727. Let's get to the phones right away. I'm pretty sure that this is Joe, but we will see. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Mom, I'm devoting this show to you tonight. I know all these years I've verbally castigated you. I've hated you. I've verbally attacked you. I've blamed you all my life for this devastating disease which you perpetrated on me. And I've always hated you for it. Mom, I know you're now 80 years old. I love you, Mom. Happy Mother's Day.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
My name is excuse me. My name is
Would you like to may I reiterate it?
My name is
Have you heard it? Excuse me.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
Joe, that was a very beautiful and heartfelt happy Mother's Day to Mom from Staten Island.
No, Mom from Long Island.
Okay, well, it's not quite as funny, but I'll go with it.
Well, I've always, and I asked her to listen to this tonight. I've always hated her. I always castigated her for destroying my life, for giving me this devastating disease. Worse, there's no treatment. We're still in the year 2012. I still can't grow a goddamn hair. I used to just take it out on her, but she didn't realize what she was doing. It wasn't her fault. It wasn't Spencer. She had no idea, right?
Of course she had no idea. And the fact that you even tell her she's listening to this program that you hated her for this makes me cringe. I feel horrible for this woman.
Well, I've told her I hated her to her face for it. I used to cry in front of her, blamed her.
Oh, man. Joe.
Well, she told me, she never thought of losing my hair because my father had hair. But I said, no, it doesn't work that way. And, I'm just trying to, she's 80 years old now, Spencer, and I'm just trying to make peace with her now. I've tortured her for the past, since I was 12 years old now. I'm now 54. I've tortured her for 42 years.
Well, I think that's wonderful that you're willing to forgive and forget, but it was not your mom's fault. So I'm glad that you kind of get that.
Well, technically, it's her fault. Her father was in at 6, and obviously the gene came from her.
Yeah, but she didn't think about that. You were born in, the 50s? It's the late 50s. I don't think they really understood the genetics involved. And frankly, she wanted to have a child. And when she decided to have a child, it was a wonderful time for her when little Joe was born. And it was certainly not in her mind that, one day this guy is going to be a sufferer.
Yes, and I guess you finally thought when my time came that there would probably be a cure, and I guess she was wrong about that.
I don't think she even thought about it. Who the fuck thinks about that? What person thinks about that?
I was thinking about this when I was 12 years old in 1970, man.
You were, but your mom wasn't. You know what your mom was thinking about? Taking care of you kids, trying to make ends meet, trying to figure out a way to keep their heads above water. That's what people thought about back then.
Well, Spencer, it's Mother's Day, and I finally forgiven her for the devastation she's perpetrated on me. What's your comment on that?
Well, I think it's wonderful that you figured it out, and I want to wish Mom from Long Island a very happy Mother's Day. Your son is a very special part of this broadcast, if you are listening or watching the show. And no matter what Phyllis says, Joe's okay. He's all right.
Well, she is listening. Of course, she's obviously not computer-orientated, but she's over at my sister's house now listening to this right now, and I dedicate it to her.
Anyway, I feel bad now that I started the show late. I feel bad that your poor mom is watching. Your 80-year-old mother is trying to stay up to watch this stupid show.
No, she's doing fine. She's loaded, believe me.
All right, good.
I made the 14 cry so many times, She wished she said she could help me. I made her feel so guilty all these years. I tortured the poor woman, you know. And that's why she's probably not called today, because I probably did it to her, man.
Oh, and again, she's listening to the show, and you're calling her an alcoholic. Doesn't she have enough problems, Joe?
No, well, I'm a big part of her problem, man, because I've tortured her, you know, of course, with the disease she perpetrated on me. But I've made peace with her, Spencer.
Well, this is. I'm glad that you made peace with her. And this is what I really want for you to try to consider. You need to figure out a way to set your kid straight, to get his head out of this hair loss thing.
No, I made it clear to him when his time comes, there will be a way. There may not be a treatment, but there will be a way to stop male pattern baldness. That I guarantee.
Right. Now, I understand that, but I mean, he shouldn't be involved in this. He shouldn't be talking about sufferers or Norwood clocking or walking around with a Rogaine bottle full of water. That shouldn't be something that he should even be thinking about.
Well, he told me to tell you tonight. His mother told me he's not doing the show. That he wants to, you know, he didn't say, you know, all these games and everything. He's like the computer games.
Yeah.
And he wants to design a game called Spot the Sufferer, where you'll have like Norwood clocking, and it's a game designed for kids. That was his idea. He wanted me to bring it to your attention.
Well, let me tell you something. If he's smart enough to design something and get it together, it won't be a game for kids. It might be kind of like an interesting gag game for sufferers.
Right.
We can make it some sort of an app if that makes sense. So it's a game on your iPhone or whatever it is, and your iPad. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. I'd say one thing before I give the news out. Unfortunately, I know you lost your mom several years ago, and I guess you're saying to yourself, you wish you had a mom to yell at, right? You think of what I'm saying, right?
Absolutely. And believe me, I'd be yelling at her right now if she was still alive. Because my mom was, let her rest in peace, she was some piece of work, and I loved her for it, because this woman would have killed for me. However, she definitely made my life very, I should say, interesting. You know, she was a very difficult woman, let her rest in peace, but I loved her very much, and, you know, I know she did her best for me. You know, not everybody is equipped to be what we think of when we think of, you know, a mother, you know, what we see on, you know, on television, the June Cleavers of the world. Most women aren't equipped to be like that. But she was pretty good, I have to tell you.
You know, unfortunately, her smoking habit contributed to her early demise, as you discussed in previous shows years ago.
Absolutely. I was in my 20s when I lost my mother. I lost my brother.
Yeah,
I lost my brother, and you know, now I got my dad, who's hanging on, but he's not really, you know. I'm really taking care of him. So when you think about family, you know, I mean, I really don't have a family. How sad is that?
No, I'm going to have to castigate you and contradict you on that, if you don't mind.
No, I love when you do that.
You have the biggest fame in the world. You have millions of fans who listen to your show every week who adore you, man. What more can a person ask for?
I also got a lot of mother effers who despise me for some bizarre reason, which is, it's beyond me.
But
I love it.
That's a minority of people.
You gotta embrace, like I say, you have to embrace your haters. These are people who really, it's difficult for them to grasp exactly what we do here. And that, you know, I'm allowed to have my opinions, and I'm allowed to speak about my experiences and the experiences of those that have contacted me over the years without me having some sort of bizarre agenda, or without me, you know, being somehow locked into the pharmaceutical company's pockets or the hair transplant doctor's pockets. When I read this stuff, I just have to kind of laugh at how ridiculous and how silly what some of the stuff that's being written out there actually is, and how, you know, completely fabricated and kind of, I don't know. I mean, I saw some guy in the forum writing about, you know, how a lot of guys are paranoid out there, and I have to agree to some extent. I know there's a lot of passion in the hair loss world, but there is definitely a significant amount of paranoia, obviously, because people somehow think that I am holding back the cure for hair loss. And God Almighty, if I had the cure for hair loss, do you think I'd be wearing my hair like this?
No, Spencer, somebody...
Fucking ridiculous. Go ahead.
Someone this week on the forum accused me and you of knowing more of withholding a cure. Now, they put me into it, too. Now I have the cure, too. That's why I'm wearing a bandage and a hat 24 hours a day and don't leave my home. So I have the cure also.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's kind of obvious. If you have the cure, you have a lot more money to make by becoming part of the cure than what you're doing now. These people must be stupid.
Dude, of course, and somehow I'm protecting Replicel. Apparently, I'm protecting them, or I want to make sure that they're successful, and Go and everyone else is unsuccessful. I mean, think about that. What do I have to do? I have nothing to do with any of these people or these companies. Nothing to do with them. I'm fortunate enough to be the person, to be the media outlet, if that's what you want to call the bald truth, that these companies contact when they want to get the news out there, and who they contact first in most cases. That's all it is. I have no say in the matter. I have no control over the cure. I have no control. I don't sit in their boardroom and say, you know what, let's hold things back for a little bit. Now's not the time. Let's hold things back for a little bit so we can make more money. And then we all laugh and, get into our Porsches and drive to into our homes and just laugh at every balding man in America and around the world. I think that's what some people think.
Well, they're obviously stupid. I mean, like they accuse you of holding back Go. Don't they realize how much you could make your income tenfold if the surgeon will be able to do 30 or 40,000 grafts on a No at 6?
Look, talking about
money
Go,
would be pouring in.
I did have a Skype interaction with him the week before last. He said that he would be contacting me on Monday. It never happened. I will continue to pursue it. And hopefully he will contact me so we could do this interview and talk about some of what his followers would like to see happen. I'm certainly going to suggest that he provide training for maybe 10 of the top surgeons from around the world, or at least here in the U.S., which I can make happen if Dr. Go is willing to do that. And then we can see if, in fact, his procedure works well. And I think that would be great, and it would be really testament to his technology if he's willing to do that, and if we can say, hey, you know what, this shit is working. Let's get on this, and everyone can do it. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if Go is going to be willing to do that. I hope that he is, but I think for his followers and for his fans and for the guys over at Hairside and these other guys that are coming over to Bald Truth Talk who really believe that we're somehow holding the reins to this, I think this is a great opportunity for Dr. Go to get it out there to the public and to prove to the world that, you know what, he has the technique that's going to change surgical hair restoration forever. And I want to see that happen. I don't know if it will, but I want to see it happen. And there's an open invitation to Dr. Go. Anytime he wants to call this program, anytime he wants to speak with me, I'll pursue it for a while. But if he doesn't get back to me eventually, in my mind, that means that he doesn't want to move forward with it. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I know. He kind of reminds you of Dr. Woods in a weird sort of way. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know. And yes, someone in the chat was like, has Go done an interview with me before? Yes, he has. We were lucky enough to speak with Dr. Go, and we did it on video, I think about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. I thought it was a compelling interview. Obviously, the critics out there for some reason thought that I was, maybe being too critical on Go. I'm not critical enough with other people. You can't please everybody. I don't know what to say. I asked what I think to be the questions that people want answers to. I ask questions that I'm interested in knowing more about and getting the answers to. And I'm interested in just getting this information out to the public. And we'll do the best that we can. And, we'll see what happens.
I mean, as you know, I'm not a physician, but in my opinion, what a great hair transplant doctor like Dr. Feller, wouldn't he love to do 30, 40,000 grafts on a No at 6? It'd only be to his advantage.
Of course it would. They'd be able to charge. They'd be able to charge an arm and a leg, and they'd be able to keep that same patient coming back for more. It would be beautiful. It would set these guys up for life. They wouldn't have to work into their late 50s and 60s. They'd be able to retire early, and frankly, so would I.
I know it's only behoove you. I mean, anyone thinks you're holding back a cure, it has to be either psychotic or just stupid. Because you have the cure, man, you would. That would be it.
Well,
listen, it's very. I find it very aggravating. People are now. I'm sorry. People are now demanding that I give the news for the week. Do you want me to say?
Give some news, and then I'll take a phone call.
Well, it's no big news. I'm still trying to recover. Well, I'm still trying to recover from the vicious attack on me on Friday from a certain individual I don't want to name, but on the Andrew Azarian show, which can be heard in the free fall 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on a guy from Queens Network. I'm still trying to recover from that, but that's another story in itself.
Yeah, well, I think that Coco definitely had a little issue. You know, he's an extremely sensitive guy, and he disagrees with you. So, you know, he's very passionate about it. His concerns about his weight and the way people perceive him, and you're very passionate about your hair situation.
Well, Spencer, I would take 300 pounds of me right now, and I would lose it within 6 months to a year if I can have a beautiful head of hair. I mean, that's the way I feel about it. I can control the weight. The hair I can't control.
Well, you
at
know,
this point.
There are a lot of people that can't control the weight no matter what they do.
Well, that's a matter of opinion.
Yeah, I don't know.
Unless you suffer from a thyroid disease or something like that.
You know, I can tell you that I was really always a thin guy, and then, you know, even into my mid-30s, and then after about the age of 35, I started to pack on the pounds a little bit, never to the point where I was really, really heavy, but, you know, about 210 pounds was probably my highest. So getting the weight off at this point in my life is probably a lot easier than someone who was heavy or fat as a preteen and then lived their whole life that way, because, you know, your fat cells are really developed before you're a teenager. And, you know, you really can, if you're a heavy kid or an obese kid, it sets you up for a lifelong struggle for losing weight. And that's even if you're eating a normal diet. It just makes it that much more difficult. So I can understand the difficulties that these people have and that Coco has had. And Coco was huge. And now I think he looks great. I mean, I haven't seen him in a while, but the last time I saw him, you know, he looked pretty good. I mean, he looked slightly heavy. Not even what you would call like a fat dude, just like a little chunky, you know. And I know that prior to me meeting him, he was huge. So I think that, you know, he's got a lot on his plate, man. He's dealing with a lot, and he's been dealing with this for a long time, and he takes exception to your, you know, calling hair loss a disease, and he takes exception to the way that you respond to other people who are dealing with other issues and not really take their issues as seriously as yours. That's all.
Well, I'll stick by the fact, and I'll say it again. In my opinion, hair loss is the worst disease. I'd rather have cancer, which could be treated in most cases, and that's my opinion. All right. And I stick by that.
Well, you can stick by that. That's fine. So let's get to the news, and then let's get to the phones.
Well, I don't want to. And I have a couple questions in the chat room quickly. Let's do the news very briefly. There's nothing really going on. Hygiene supposedly at a conference this weekend, a dermatological conference, where Dr. Gail Norton's supposed to be addressing them on the HSC complex. I don't know if you heard about that.
I have.
I had no results.
I have, and I actually spoke to, I said this last show, I think it was on Thursday before last Sunday show, I spoke to Dr. Craig Ziering. He said that he would be able to come on the program and talk about some of the findings. He's actually obviously involved in the clinical trials, and he said that there's some exciting news. I can't promise you when he's going to be on the air, because this guy travels more than anybody I know. This guy is an incredibly busy practice and a busy life, and, you know, he's just all over the world. I think he was going back to England the last time I spoke to him. So hopefully I could corner him and get a few minutes through Skype, at least, no matter where he is in the country or around the world, and get some answers for you guys. I would prefer to have him on live so you guys can ask him some questions. But if that's not possible, I will have him on at least a recorded segment that I can put on Bald Truth Talk or The Bald Truth as soon as possible. But all I can say is, at least according to Dr. Ziering, and according to what I understand that was presented by Dr. Gail Norton, the news is very positive. That's all I have.
Well, let me pose just two quick things here, please, if you don't mind. I mean, what the hell are these people so worried about the FDA for? Set up shop in the Bahamas, and everybody will be flying there next week. I mean, this is what I keep on my hand on.
Again,
I can't understand.
Again, it's, you know, there's a reason for it. Believe me, if they wanted to set up shop in the Bahamas and they thought that they had a viable product right now that would benefit hair loss sufferers, and they thought it would benefit their company in the long run to set up shop in the Bahamas, they would. That's probably not, you know, until it happens, I would say that it's probably not This is a very strong light. Why do I have this on? That's probably not something that they think is really going to benefit the company in the long run. So you have to figure that everything is done for a reason. You know what I find interesting? These guys in the message forums, these speculators, and frankly some of these bullies on the message forums who think that by bad-mouthing these companies or by somehow trying to push these companies into a corner, that's going to expedite this process. You know what it does? It pisses these companies off. It keeps them it makes them shy away from providing us information. They don't want to deal with the bullshit. I mean, you should hear, I talk to these people. They can't believe what goes on in these message forums. And really, it really puts them on guard because they're afraid to say anything. Because everything is misconstrued. Everything is taken out of context. If one thing doesn't happen, there's a whole new conspiracy theory that's launched. And it's absolutely nutty. I can't even imagine why these guys think that they are somehow entitled to this information. They need to realize how fortunate they are that they have the opportunity to get this information even before the mainstream media. But they're trying to destroy that opportunity from themselves. And honestly, I don't give a shit.
Yes.
I'll get the information, but if I'm not supposed to speak about it because the companies say, you know what, there's too much shit going on in the message forums, then I can only do so much. I want this to be a free source of cutting-edge information. But if these guys are going to ruin it for everybody else, I mean, there's nothing that I can do.
No, I understand that, but just a quick comment. I mean, technically speaking, I understand History was working on a topical cream, their HSC, and they could just sell that like right now without even FDA approval because all the other companies are doing it. Nobody's giving a damn about it.
They can, but what happens? They can, but if it is disappointing, and then these guys on the message forums go all over the message forums saying, histogen's a fail, it's all over, then that affects them. It affects the progress of this technology. Don't think that what's going on in the message forums doesn't affect Replicel, because it does. Don't think it doesn't affect their stock, because it does.
I thought you were saying that sarcastically when you said that. You really believe it does affect their stock?
I definitely believe that at least in the short term. And you have to realize that our message forum in particular is very easily indexed and heavily indexed in Google. And it's picked up very quickly. So people read it. Potential stockholders, potential people who are going to purchase that stock are reading this. And they're like, well, look, this is the sentiment. This is the sentiment. Jeez, I can't speak.
I mean, you think a huge pharmaceutical company like Allergan, is coming out Let's See soon, pays attention to these psychotics on the message forum?
No, really? I don't think a company like Allergan is paying that much. They're paying attention. Believe me, they have their ears to the track, so to speak, to their ears to the ground, so to speak. See, Joe, what's happening to me? But it's different.
You're getting old, man. You know what's coming soon. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I actually had a little issue today when I was out, and it was just very stressful. And I got into the studio, and nothing was working. Nothing was working.
I'm sorry if you want to go more stressed than you already have.
Yeah, you know what? It's really not. It's not cancer, dude. This is high-class stress. You know what I mean? When I finish doing the program or speak to some guys and have a little fun on the show tonight and we're all hanging out, I'm just going to forget all about it.
Well, just one more quick thing. The guys at Message Forum would request you get Dr. Washenik on as soon as possible and Dr. Greg Ziering, if at all possible.
Well, Dr. Ziering is definitely possible. Dr. Washenik said he would do an interview with me, but he didn't want to do anything live. So, it's not quite as fun, I think, not to have Ken on live, but I'll definitely get Ken on. I'll definitely do it. I will definitely do it.
I would interrogate Ken aggressively, you know that.
I know that. And, maybe these guys don't want it.
Yeah, they know I am. I am a very thorough interviewer.
They're like, please don't sick Joe from Staten Island on me. All right, Joe, I'm gonna put you on hold and take some calls.
Okay, thank you very much for the time. And I wish all the hair loss sufferers out there, the female hair loss sufferers, a happy Mother's Day.
All right, bro. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this? Hey, man, you got to turn your computer down.
Sorry, man, I was in the other room. Hold on.
Oh shit, George. Who else? Who else would do that shit?
No, man, you got to understand what happened. Just a second, I'm hitting the mute button. Okay. My friggin' Bluetooth went dead. I was in the other room trying to plug the thing in, not knowing you were about to get to me. So sorry about that.
So what's up?
I couldn't get the computer. I couldn't get the computer up. I couldn't get your feed up. Everything's just been screwed up.
My feed wasn't started. My feed started a little late, and I started the program without hooking up with GFQ, my syndicator, which was pretty dumb. But I was very harried when I came in because things weren't working, and I just kind of forgot to send the show.
Got you. Well, sorry, I contributed to some of the chaos with trying to manage my chaos. Hello to Joe. It's good to hear Joe's voice. I'm glad to hear Joe has forgiven his mother for destroying his life. Dude, we all know about crazy mothers, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You know, we all know about crazy-ass mothers who fucked up our lives. I'm one of those guys that's got one. But you got to understand something, man. Your mom can't be held responsible for all these genetic errors that she passed down to you, which she wasn't even aware of. I mean, that's just crazy, Joe.
It is pretty crazy. Let me see how this light works. It is pretty crazy. I mean, Joe has been, and he said he made his mother miserable for a long time.
I mean, but I understand where Joe comes from, feeling some kind of resentment, you know, because our family has different things that we deal with, you know, OCD type stuff and anxiety and ADD type stuff and other issues. But my mom takes it to a whole nother level. You know, as that black guy on Mad TV used to say, a whole nother level.
Right. Well, my mother did too, let her rest in peace. My mother was not easy to deal with, but, you know, I know that she did her best.
Yeah, well, but I understand where Joe's coming from. I don't want to alienate my friend Joe. I understand where he's coming from when you're suffering in life and you think sometimes, shit, I wish I'd never been born, put on with this bullshit. But you got to understand, man, I mean, as much as you may be angry that you were brought into this world, your mom didn't have they didn't have the human genome mapped out with all the genes identified for all these problems and shit back in the 1950s, okay? That's back when they were discovering fucking DNA, okay? I mean, come on.
Well, that's right.
That's back when Watson and Crick were getting the double helix, figured out through X-ray crystallography. That was a long damn way from several decades forward where they had the human genome.
But even though, how silly is it to even, do you think that a woman who wants to have a child is that, I mean, maybe if she knows that she's, there's a strong chance that she's going to pass on some sort of what most people consider to be a significant, genetic illness, then I can see why.
Like Tay-Sachs,
right.
Cystic fibrosis, or Huntington's, or something. I mean,
but I don't think. You know what? There's a chance that my kid may end up dealing with male pattern baldness. That really probably doesn't sway too many people from having children. And
no.
No. So, but there are people. You read about in the message forum that people, people who are carrying this gene should be castrated, or they should have vasectomies, or sterilized, or whatever. It's unbelievable, man.
I understand Joe's frustration because, I know your listeners get tired of hearing this crap from me. I know they do. We all have our little things. We our obsessions. Like you said, mine is I fear getting old. It's not that I fear getting old. It's just that I fear.
Dude, too late. It's too late.
I fear that horrible disease known as invisibility to hot young girls. Of course, Hefner solved that with lots of cash and Viagra, right?
Hold on. There's a guy in the chat room that keeps asking me in bold who the best FUE surgeon in Europe is. Now, I just want you to know, dude, and you're a GFQ viewer, 4840. There's a phone number on the screen, 888-659-3727. You can call in and ask your question. It's difficult for me to say who the best is, but I definitely like Patrick Mwamba, who's doing, that's what he does, is FUE, or FIT. And he has an incredible reputation. He does really good work. I know that there's a Dr. Pasanga who is doing really good work as well. I have never really had the opportunity to see too much of his work except for some of the stuff that is online, but he seems to have a really good reputation. Those guys are doing really good work. And I know that Dr. Ferranduni is, that's a tough one, is doing more and more FUE, and his work is really consistent and it looks really good. So those are probably the guys. I'm leaning towards Dr. Mwamba because I've seen more of his work, but those are all good choices. So go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
No problem. I understand Joe's frustration about feeling like the disease is stealing a big part of your life, and I understand where you're coming from, telling us just to get over it and develop what you've got and run with it. It's just really frustrating when people think you look young or think you look handsome or whatever, or people think, other night I was coming out of Best Buy buying this Bluetooth, met this little 16-year-old Heidi. Had like what I thought was her grandfather with this, a 90-year-old looking dude with her. Turns out I got talking with him. He was a medical doctor and a MD PhD guy that taught medical school, and this one of my buddies who were professors at the med school. And I thought this little girl was his granddaughter. Turned out it was his daughter. And this little chick, he was asking me what I was into, and I said, I'm into this, that, and the other anti-aging stuff. Oh, how does that work? He said, how's it working for you? How old are you? And I said, I just turned 50, man. I was real proud. And he's like, son, I wouldn't put you a day over 30. And his little daughter's like, I thought you were like, late 20s. And I'm thinking, I'm walking around hiding under this fucking hat. Hiding under this stupid hat because I didn't feel like putting the paint job on, right? And I'm thinking, if they would just get this friggin' cure or some way.
But I'm gonna cut you off, dude, because you constantly tell me this shit and how how young you look and how people say that, but yet you're fucking miserable. You're miserable. You can't live. You can't live your life. Yeah, but Joe doesn't get that. Okay. You get your thing because you're a good-looking dude. You're a young-looking dude, apparently, but you still can't come to grips with the fact that you're not perfect. You should thank God that you have what you have, that you got young chicks who are interested in you and still think that you're handsome. And the fact that you have to paint your head, so fucking what? Sorry, I just had to let you have it there, George.
No, I understand, and I know it's all part of this. 99% of the people who are attending this program are fucked up in the head. Okay? They are.
Yes.
We're here because we're a bunch of damaged, mentally screwed up people, mentally and emotionally screwed up people, and we're here trying to.
But don't you think that I am too? I started this whole fucking thing. I'm just as messed up as all you guys. I just figured out a way to deal with it.
And it's just annoying. We can't, that there's something like this that we can't seem to get over, and half the people in the fucking forums are here to get answers because they're miserable like us. Another half is here to make fun of the rest of us who they think we're a bunch of freaks and idiots.
Well, you're right, and there are guys in the chat room saying, "Hey, I don't think I'm screwed up in the head." We're all screwed up to some level, and I'm not. There are guys who are unfortunately like Joe, and there's guys who are a lot worse than Joe. There are guys like George who really has a lot, but because he's missing something, he's not perfect. It really fucks him up. There are guys like me who I'm very grateful for everything that I have and everything that I've been able to do with this, bullshit that I've had to deal with, turning lemons into lemonade. But I'm still not 100% ecstatic, obviously, about, having to figure out a way to leave the house looking and feeling my best. There's definitely some challenges there because of my hair. But everyone has issues. So for anyone in the chat room who claims they're not screwed up, whether it's with hair or something else, everyone's screwed up in some sense. I've never met someone who is completely undamaged, either by their parents, about some past experiences in life. Whatever their concerns are, something in their life affected them that, makes them not quite as perfect as they want to be. if that makes sense, and I think it does.
Oh, it makes perfect sense, and the person's right. It is body dysmorphic disorder, and the problem is like we feel, most of us who paint our heads to create the illusion of a full head of hair, and I can still dummy it up. I was talking to my buddy last night on the phone about about my 50th birthday, where he took me down to the beach to that concert, and he told me, he said, man, and this guy, we grew up together from second grade, from the late 60s, and this guy is like completely bald, not except a little ring around the side, and he shaved his head down, and he told me, he said, he says, I looked at your hair, man, and he said, when we were in the car driving down to the beach, and he was in the back seat with his kids, and I was in the front seat with his wife, and he said, I was leaning over looking at your hair, and he said, man, I would never be able to tell that you had any hair loss at all.
Yeah.
He said, he said, you dummy that stuff up so convincingly, but the problem is that we know it's dummied up, and like you said, man, you were worried when you first got into this about going out with some girl and having her figure out that you were losing your hair, or getting too close, or putting her hands up there and coming away with Topic and Kobren under her fingernails.
Yeah.
It makes us feel, those of us who have to do that to create the illusion of a full head of hair, we feel just as fucking much like a fraud as some guy that has, like Joe, like the poor bastard who just has a problem with wanting to wear a rug.
But that's the thing, there are guys out there who learn to deal with it, and those are the guys who live a happy life. There are guys who wear really great hair pieces. I mean, incredible hair pieces, and they have a little bit of money, and they're able to really do it right, and they're comfortable with it, and they're able to tell people, you know what, this is a piece. I talk about this guy, Kent Emmons, all the time, who now, he got a hair transplant a few years ago, but for a while he was wearing some really great systems. And the first thing he would tell people when they noticed there was a change, he would say, I got a piece. I'm wearing a rug. He would call it a rug, even though it didn't look like a rug, and you would never be able to tell he was wearing a piece. And you know what? This guy always got great chicks. He lives a great, totally successful life, and he never felt unhappy. And the only reason he decided to get a hair transplant is because he originally was going to get the transplant because he was going to do some television. In his mind, he thought that he would get the transplant, and like 5 weeks later, he'd be able to go on the air. And I had to explain to him, dude, that's not going to happen, because he was transitioning from radio to television, basically. I said, I can get you into a decent piece, and I can tell you where to go, what you need to do. And at first, he was really turned off by it. And then when he took it out of the box initially, he was like basically thinking to himself, this mother effer. But then when he got it cut in, he couldn't believe how great he looked. And his girlfriend at the time was like, this is incredible. And everyone was complimenting him. And he just decided he wanted to go the hair transplant route, but he wore this thing for like 3 years. So what I'm saying is we all hold ourselves back by just letting society say, okay, you're not supposed to wear a hairpiece, or you're not supposed to paint your head, or you're not supposed to wear your hair a certain way. It's a horrible situation that we're in, but we're the ones who are able to set ourselves free.
Yeah, I know that's true, but I just think about, not this past week, but the week before, I spent a whole week at the beach at Gulf Shores, Alabama, in Orange Beach, Alabama, chilling out on the beach at my buddy's house, and I hadn't felt so good in so long, and I realized that I could go, even when you're down there at the beach, you can go in the nicest restaurants down there. Some really of course, they got a lot of little dives and stuff that have been there for decades where you eat most of the time. But you can go in the nicest restaurant down there and wear a fucking cap and get away with it because it's the beach.
Right.
And all these tourists are there from all over the country and around the world. And they're coming in there, and you can go in there with a pair of, shorts on, and as long as you got shirt, shoes, and everything's cool. And I thought, man, I don't have to worry about leaving my fishing in the afternoon to get back in time, so I can shower and wash the hair carefully, and then have to go through 25 minutes of friggin' hair makeup so that I can go out to a restaurant. And I remember at the end of the week thinking, why am I so relaxed? Well, other than being away from the city and the usual bullshit of life. I was down there where I could wear a cap all the time, and nobody thought anything about it. Nobody looked at me like I was a redneck.
I'm reading the chat room. Koja, who seems to be a very interesting person. He's like, why don't you tell us about that wig, Spencer? Yeah, listen, I'll tell you a story one day, all right, Koja? Give me a call. People are so fucking funny, man. I got to tell you, I have to laugh.
There's some guy in there, I can't even talk tonight, I'm joining you, follicularly challenged, who said that earlier that George was speaking the truth tonight. I'm impressed. Like I regularly come on and fucking lie.
No, you see, why can't you just take a compliment, man? Just take a compliment and relax. George, I'm going to take another phone call, all right?
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Sorry for kind of bringing things down, man, but, I'm just being honest.
No, I think it was a great call. I'm not going to keep you on hold unless you need to be. Can you watch the show, or do you need to be on hold?
I can't get your feet up, man. All I could get is the chat thing up. I can't get your feet up, so you got to leave me on hold.
All right, hold on. Hold on. I'm going to tell Koja about my wig. Hey, who's this? You're on the air. Hello?
Hi, is that me on?
Yes, that's you.
Oh, hi. My name's Chris. I'm from Chicago.
Hey, Chris from Chicago. What's happening?
Not too much. I've listened to you for about a year, I think, but this is my first time calling, so nice talking to you, Spencer.
Well, it's nice talking to you, too, man.
I was hoping I could ask you a couple quick questions, kind of get your thoughts and advice on some stuff about my hair.
Yes, of course. That's what this is all about.
Yeah. Great. Anyway, so I'm 25 years old. Probably started noticing my hair loss when I was maybe like 22. I have kind of a diffuse loss all over the top of my scalp, which is like good and bad for me right now. It's pretty good because basically by growing it out like on top a little bit more and like combing it the right way, like nobody I don't think would probably notice anything.
Right.
But I'm a little worried about it because I think in probably like another year or two it'll be thin enough that it'll almost look like I went bald overnight,
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a fear that I think a lot of us who are kind of like, camouflaging it have. I mean, I had that forever. And it doesn't usually happen that way, especially if, did you say you were treating it?
Well, that was actually part of the question that I wanted to ask you about. So about 2 years ago, I think, I started taking finasteride, used it for a little over a year. I didn't really see any regrowth, but it didn't get really worse over that time period. So.
Okay.
I stuck with it, didn't have any problems. After about a year, though, I didn't have sexual side effects really, but I had kind of like breast tissue growth, basically, that my doctor believed was related and wanted me to get off of the finasteride.
Okay, well, that is a possible side effect, gynecomastia.
Yeah.
And
so,
now was it actual breast tissue growth, or was it just kind of like you felt you were getting heavier in that area?
No, there were like lumps that were growing.
Okay.
That were like very noticeable. So, in any case, I went off of it, and the issue, at least in terms of that, kind of solved itself. The sort of like excess tissue like went away over time.
Oh, that's great, because that means you caught it in time. A lot of times, when guys take anabolic steroids or who are suffering from gynecomastia from finasteride, sometimes they don't get off in time, and it becomes a permanent issue that actually has to be removed. So you're lucky.
That's why, and that's why my doctor said, you need to stop this now. So I went off the medication and haven't been using it for almost a year now. My question, though, is that because of not using it, I went from, kind of halting the loss to it definitely, getting significantly thinner again. So I guess my question, at least first of all, is do you think that because of the side effect that I experienced, that I should not go back on this medication, or that it would be worthwhile to try again? I guess that's kind of what I'm.
Well, that's a
about.
good question. And you know that I'm not a physician, so I have to preface this answer by letting everyone know that I'm not a doctor. And this is just my opinion based on years of experience in this industry and from all of the anecdotal, evidence and stories that I've heard over the years. I have known some guys, I've spoken to some guys, and I have read emails from some guys who had the same issues and then were put back on, after everything resolved itself, were put back on a lower dosage of finasteride. Like, either 1 milligram every other day or 1/2 of a milligram a day. And then they kind of loaded their body and then went on to just, maybe taking 1/2 of a milligram every other day. And they seem to have benefited from the drug without experiencing the adverse side effects. That doesn't mean that's going to be the case with you. But that's something, if you're willing to take that risk, that's something to ask your doctor about. The good news is you didn't have any sexual side effects. So you don't have to be that concerned about that because it's probably, you were on it for a long time, and so you probably won't experience those. But again, that's just speculation. But as far as the breast tissue, it might be that amount in your body is what caused, what's considered the normal prescription is what caused you to have the adverse effects, where lowering that prescription, lowering that dosage might work for you, for your hair, and keep the side effects at bay. And that's something you need to talk to your doctor about. If you're willing to take the risk, there are guys that don't experience the same side effects as they did when they were on the full dose compared to lowering their dosage. So that's something you might want to consider.
Okay, I guess I'll talk to my doctor about it. But it's nice to kind of hear your thought about it. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I'm not trying to dance around that. I don't want to ramble, because sometimes I don't want to give you direct advice. I don't want to say, hey, you know what, get back on this. There's a good chance you're not going to have the side effects again. Sometimes people, the truth is sometimes people go back on the drug even after having the side effects at a certain dosage, go back on the same dosage years later, and they're fine. It really depends. It also depends on what you're putting into your body at the time, what your diet's like, what type of exercise you're doing. This all relates to your hormones and how these drugs affect your body. But again, you need to speak to your doctor about it, and you have to be willing to take that risk.
Okay.
Anything else, man?
If you don't mind, I have another just kind of quick question.
Sure.
This is something that I've noticed kind of about, I guess, my scalp, and I'm not sure if this is like just kind of the standard how, male pattern baldness works, or if this is something that is either unique for me or an indication of something else. But basically, when I put my fingers on my scalp, I can kind of feel what feels like small, almost like grains of sand, basically. And if I can kind of scratch them, basically, they're not like scabs, but they almost look like small little tiny grains of sand that have very, very small, I can see little pieces of hair on them, basically. So it almost looks like a hair follicle that is dried up and died almost.
Wow. I don't even know what to say about that. I mean, it's possible that there's some sebum buildup, which wouldn't cause you to have hair loss, but and there are companies out there that want you to believe that sebum buildup will cause hair loss, and they'll sell you some bullshit product.
Yeah, because that's kind of what I was wondering about, because I do have very kind of greasy hair. I really do have to wash it every day to have it look clean.
Yeah,
but
I'm the same way.
I don't know if that, like you said, you don't think that it's anything that would be causing hair loss, so sebum buildup.
I don't think that it is. There are doctors and trichologists who I don't really have a lot of love for, who would say differently and try to sell you some sort of a shampoo or a conditioner and scalp cleanser. I don't think so. I think you might want to wash your hair more often. If you're not having a drying effect from washing your hair, you can wash your hair 2 times a day. It's not going to make you cause you to lose your hair. People are saying, well, it strips your hair of oils. Again, everybody is different. You probably are secreting more oil than other guys, especially since you're telling me you have a greasy scalp and greasy hair. So washing it twice a day might help you in that respect also. So, I wish I can give you a definitive answer especially for the finasteride usage. I know that it works, and it was working for you, obviously, and you had this adverse side effect, which is, it's effed up. But, talk to your doctor. If you're willing to give it a shot, try a lower dosage and see what happens. And you're also going to be more sensitive to the gynecomastia now. So if you start to get a tingling or pressure in your nipples or in the chest area, you'll kind of know, okay, it's not for me. Even before you start to see the tissue, you're going to be more
to look out for.
You're going to be more hyper aware of what the signs are before it even develops.
Right.
All right, man. Listen, I wish you the best of luck.
Okay. No, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, you got it, man. Take care. 888-659-3727. You're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, Spencer, how you doing? This is John from New York. I called once before a little while ago. Right now, first, if you don't mind, I'd like to give you a little background on my situation.
Absolutely.
And then also right after that, I'd like to talk about possible cures for this devastating disease of hair loss. Because ever since my hair loss became noticeable, all I've been doing is just scouring the internet looking for any possible remedies or cures. So let me give you a little background if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Very cool. My hair loss started becoming noticeable about 2 years ago, and ever since then it's just been devastating for me, as you can imagine. I sought out the advice of many people and thought about all sorts of options, what to do. Certain people told me just to accept it. Certain people told me to get on Rogaine, on Minoxidil or finasteride. Others told me to look into a hair transplant. I mean, after looking at all these options long and hard, I keep coming back to the same conclusion, that for me, life as a man with hair loss will never be as good as life with as a man with a full head of hair, and therefore I'll do whatever I can to fight it, using FDA-approved medications, and then even looking into possible innovative treatments, such as stem cell treatments, that could possibly regrow my hair.
Sure.
Anyway, yeah, okay. I've been on Propecia for about 2 years, and although it slowed down my hair loss quite a bit, it hasn't completely stopped it. And it really hasn't done a damn thing to regrow my hair at all. And also, I'm experiencing some of the side effects as well too. And so are several of my friends that have been on the drug. Okay. So I'm not really sure how long I'd like to continue it.
What are you feeling? What kind of side effects?
Well, just sexual side effects is one.
Yeah.
Then also muscular side effects too, because I've always been a big guy, like a weightlifter,
right.
And I don't really get the same pump after the workouts. I feel my muscles are maybe softer and flabbier as opposed to rock solid like they used to be after a workout.
Are you taking anything else?
No, not any supplements, not any, no steroids, nothing like that.
Okay.
I mean, I always think, with Propecia, I'd be a hell of a lot more tolerant of side effects if it did a lot more. If it grew, I always say, if it grew substantial amounts of hair, I wouldn't really care if, if my penis was limp 24/7. I just pop Cialis and
right.
enjoy all the hair that regrew. So but unfortunately, it really didn't do much for regrowth. So and I tried Minoxidil as well, but it's just a joke in my opinion. It didn't do much of it didn't do anything at all. So that's why I believe on a lot of their infomercials they don't show you before and after pictures, because it really.
Well, look, I'll be honest with you, and I've said this before. I'm not a huge fan of Minoxidil, and I think that yes, it's one of the the two FDA-approved drugs that we know can slow the progression of hair loss and regrow hair. But in my opinion, for the vast majority of people who use it, the results are marginal at best. There are some women out there that have contacted me over the years that believe that they've done well with it when they went on to the 5%, the men's solution. But I kind of think it's a Band-Aid, and it doesn't seem to, last for a long time.
Yeah.
If you do see benefits, they seem to wane relatively quickly within a few years. And with that said, I think people end up being stuck on the drug because they don't know what to do. They're afraid to get off of it. But even if it stopped working for them or it's not working as well, it's kind of like crack for bald guys.
Yeah, and also what I've heard about too, and what scares me to death, is the initial shed. I know there's supposed to be an initial shed,
Yeah.
but after that, those hairs don't even regrow. That they just shed, and you just get the shed, and then you don't get enough regrowth to compensate for that.
Right.
And I've heard of that as well. You know, so anyway, like I said, I was going to discuss my situation. Then also, as I told you, I've been scouring the internet, you know, researching possible cures and whatever. So if you don't mind, I'd like to mention a couple of things I came across.
I don't mind at all.
Very good, thank you. Okay, in July of 2009, it was reported that an Egyptian scientist and dermatologist named Marwa Fawzi treated 8 children with alopecia areata with a lot of success. What she did was that she took small biopsies from the back of the children's scalps, isolated the hair follicle stem cells, multiplied them for about a month, and then injected these multiplied hair follicle stem cells into the bald areas of the children's scalps. I was just surprised because the results were absolutely amazing. And 5 out of the 8 children regrew at least 50% of their hair. And, I mean, these results were just stunning to me and amazing. It just baffles me that I look that these results were reported on only once and then seemingly forgotten about. I mean, with these stellar results, it's obviously infinitely better than anything we have out there now. And
well, I actually read about that, and I kind of felt the same way as you did. And I asked a couple of guys in the field, and you know, I guess the issue is, from what I understand, the results couldn't be replicated after those. I think they either attempted or they're going to continue to attempt, but they didn't seem to be replicated. And I could be wrong. That's the information that I got from maybe people who are just hearing this as hearsay. But yeah, I mean, it seems pretty exciting. The only issue that I have is when you think about alopecia areata, and you know, it's thought to be an autoimmune disorder or an autoimmune disease where your body basically attacks your hair. So why would taking hair follicles, especially from the same person, and then regenerating these hair follicles, replanting them into the scalp or injecting the cells into the scalp, and if they did grow hair, wouldn't in time this hair be rejected as well? So as far as guys who are dealing with common androgenetic alopecia, yeah, I mean, if you can take DHT-resistant hair, which is what these companies are trying to do, and replicate these cells and then have them grow, that is the holy grail. I just don't know how effective it's going to be for people with alopecia areata in the long term.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I mein, I saw it was for people with alopecia areata. Obviously, my interest was androgenetic alopecia because that's what I'm looking at. And I realized like a lot of stuff could like corticosteroids could you know, even remedy alopecia areata. But what she did is you know basically what I said, take stem cells from healthy follicles, multiply them, and then re-inject them.
Right.
And by that principle, it should work in androgenetic alopecia as well.
Well, exactly.
You know,
it should work in androgenetic alopecia. It should be more effective than in alopecia areata. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's from what you said that these results weren't replicable. And I mean, I was thinking that possibility as well, but I can't really find any evidence that, you know, that was the case.
There is no evidence. Like I said, I think it was just hearsay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So with something as remarkable as this, and it just went away, I'm just like, what the F, you know?
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, I'll tell you what, I know that you have more to say, but my computer is dying here, and I also need to take a break. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you on hold. I'm going to come back to you after the break. Is that cool?
Yeah, it's fine. All
right, man, I appreciate it. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. That's 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren. You are listening to and watching The Bald Truth. We'll be right back after these brief messages. Stay with us.
Hey, the Red Rocker, Sammy Hagar. And Michael Anthony. You're listening to the baldest on the planet, Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth. Woo!
Hey guys, welcome back. 888-659-3727. Live from Los Angeles, I'm Spencer Kobren. Great to be back on another Sunday night, Mother's Day. If you're just tuning into the program, a lot of calls on the line, a lot of great stuff happening in the chat room. And I say great stuff, interesting conversation. But if you're new to the program, don't know who I am or why I'm here, I am the founder of the American Hair Loss Association, author of The Bald Truth and the Truth About Women's Hair Loss. And I'm a guy who's been dealing with hair loss for over 20 years, lucky enough to slow the progression of my hair loss using FDA-approved medication. And really what we try to do is pass on whatever objective information we can through this broadcast to all of you hair loss sufferers who make up really the majority of our world. 2/3 of you by the age of 35 will suffer with some degree of hair loss. 40% of hair loss sufferers are women. This is a silent epidemic of significant proportions that affects just about every household in the world. Yet society doesn't allow us to talk about it. Crazy. And because of that, the $3.5 billion a year hair loss industry can take advantage of vulnerable hair loss sufferers because we will buy anything, subscribe to anything, try anything just for the hope that we might save our hair, that we don't have to deal with losing our hair and feeling that our self-esteem is eroding with our hairlines. Now, this is a place where you guys can come and vent, to talk, to share, to learn, to be a part of a fraternity that, while it sucks to be a part of this fraternity, we've created this place because it's a safe place. 888-659-3727 is the phone number. If you have any questions, concerns about your hair loss, just need to vent, this is the place for you. Not here to sell you anything. This is not a fucking infomercial. Again, this is your safe place to learn, to share, and to gain the knowledge that you need to at least become better equipped when trying to navigate through this industry. And I will say this, and I say this all the time. If you're equipped to deal with hair loss, especially you guys out there, shave your heads, move on, and don't deal with this bullshit. Live your life. I wish that's what I could have done. But because I know most of you are like me, or a large portion of hair loss sufferers, a big percentage of hair loss sufferers are like me, that's why I do what I do. We were talking to, I forget your name, dude, from New York. Hey, man, you're back. What's your name again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, my name is John.
John, I'm so sorry. So I'm glad that you held on, and I want to hear what else you have to say.
Yeah, well, first of all, how'd you get Sammy Hagar to do that little clip you had?
He was actually hanging out at Westwood One Radio when I was doing the show on a Sunday night, and we asked him. We said, "Hey, Sammy," and also what's his name? Michael Anthony was there. Told him what we did, and I said, "Hey, look, I'm sure a lot of guys would love to hear you. You mind doing an ID for us?" And he did it.
Yeah, hell, you should have had him sing. That guy's got a great vocal.
He's awesome. And he was really interested in the whole hair loss thing. He actually sat in on the show.
Really?
Yeah.
Really, yeah. I've seen him once before. Awesome performer, great vocalist. But yeah, anyway, so anyway, yeah, I was talking about like possible cures, treatments, that I've been researching on. So let me just mention a couple more. Late last year, a scientist at Yale University named Valerie Horsley attributed hair loss to malfunctioning fat stem cells within the bald areas of a person's scalp.
Right.
She described that as a person ages, the fat layer in a person's scalp that comprises its thickness shrinks, thereby stunting and inhibiting the growth of the hair follicles. She also determined that when hair starts to grow, a process called adipogenesis occurs, where the fat layer of a person's scalp expands. And for this process of adipogenesis to occur, certain types of stem cells called adipocyte precursor stem cells need to be present, yet are diminished when the fat layer of the scalp shrinks in a person suffering from male pattern baldness. this leads me to believe, and I've heard about maybe people doing this before, that maybe if adipose stem cells were extracted from a person, processed, and then re-injected into bald areas of a person's scalp, that maybe they could stimulate this adipogenesis process to occur and for hair to grow again. I know I think Recover Up might have tried this, and I think a few small so-called stem cell centers in Arizona.
Dude, let me tell you something. First of all, John, you are on the fucking ball. I got to tell you. I mean, you're giving Joe from Staten Island a run for his money. And I am really, really impressed, because this is all stuff that we've read before, that I'm aware of. But, I mean, even in the forums, you do not, and we got some real zealots. You know, you got some maniacs in the forums.
Oh, God.
You are extremely well-versed, and I'm very impressed.
Thank you. So anyway, so Recover Up, I still was doing this. A couple of small stem cell centers in Arizona I also saw, but I have reason to be skeptical of these places. For one reason, like a lot of these doctors are naturopaths as opposed to regularly accredited doctors. So that kind of had me a little skeptical. But I actually inquired at one stem cell center in California, which is seemingly run by reputable doctors. I researched it and everything.
Now, are they naturopaths, non-DOs, non-doctors?
No.
Okay.
No, these doctors aren't. The ones that I mentioned before are, and that's
right.
why I was skeptical. But these doctors at this place called California Stem Cell Treatment Center, who I actually contacted, that I checked in their regular doctors.
No, but what I'm asking is, you know, a DO, you know, an osteopath is a doctor. Basically, they do basically the same training as an MD, except it's a different medical school. So if they're a DO, they're able to perform surgery, they're able to prescribe medication. They are doctors. So
a naturopath?
Not necessarily natural. There are DOs who consider themselves naturopaths as well. So I wanted to know if they were actual doctors. So if they have a DO at the end of their name, that means they are physicians.
Well, I mean, I could tell you this, and I really don't mean to impose, but I mean, I could possibly email you this, you know, the information on these.
Well, that would certainly be imposing. Come on, how can that be an imposition? I want that information, dude.
It really wouldn't be a problem. I would love to do that. So anyway, I contacted this California Stem Cell Treatment Center, and they told me they were looking into this procedure about extracting fat stem cells and then re-injecting them into the scalp, and they said that they told me they're going to be using the same stem cells that Dr. Horsley used in her experiment, and they said they could probably have this. They're looking to possibly do this by the end of the year. And again, I could forward you the correspondence I had with them as well. You know?
Well, I can tell you this: if this is something, and I've actually read about this, if this is something that is going to be happening by the end of the year, I would love to kind of have our own type of little trial for public consumption. Let these guys, if the guys are willing to get involved, then let these guys do it in a public forum. And see.
I'm sure Joe.
Well, I'm sure
Joe from Staten Island would jump at the chance.
Absolutely, I'm sure he would. Now, I would not be a guinea pig. I'll tell you that. I'll let Joe do it, and I'll let you do it, or whoever else wants to do it.
Oh God, you know, with the trauma that hair loss has cost me, you know, I almost wouldn't mind. And then just quickly, let me, if you don't mind, just let me mention two more things to you.
Sure, go ahead.
Very cool, thank you. I read articles all over the internet as well about how people are traveling all over the world for stem cell therapies for incurable diseases and for treatments for these diseases that are not offered in the U.S. For instance, I read about an American man who suffered from a form of blindness since 2004 and yet regained his vision through a stem cell treatment administered by a doctor named, let me see if I can pronounce this, Himanshu Bansal of the Institute of Spinal Injury and Stem Cell Research in India.
Yeah.
And it was reported that even after he went from not being able to see to actually being able to drive after these stem cell treatments.
And I think the guy suffered from wet macular degeneration, if I'm correct.
Oh, that was it. Okay.
Yeah, and it's actually a disease, a degenerative eye disease my father has. And there was a doctor, a doctor in Florida, actually also practices in Italy, and or he came from Italy, practiced in Italy, and he's experimenting with it as well. We were considering having it done for my dad, but my dad is not physically well enough, I think, to even deal with it. And his eyesight he's able to see to some degree, so he's not stone blind by any means. He's just legally blind. And we just weren't sure if the possible risk would, if there would be. First of all, they didn't know what the benefit would be. And, he was traveling and all that stuff, so we kind of decided that it's probably not the best idea. But it's exciting stuff. It's something that I would definitely be interested in learning more about, and eventually, if my dad is up to it, I'd like to have it done for him.
Okay. Well, let me actually. I told you about this doctor, the Dr. Bonsall.
Yeah.
I actually got the idea to email him and ask if there was anything he could possibly do for hair loss. And I actually got an email back saying that this doctor believes he could have success with hair loss through bone marrow stem cells and adipose stem cells. He said that they have like a really good success rate. So I could, obviously send you that correspondence as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, are you the guy that contacted a plastic surgeon that I had on the program?
You don't give my name.
I won't.
Yeah.
I won't.
Okay.
After hearing you and after hearing how diligent you are, I figured that you contacted him.
Yeah, that's the thing I was going to mention next.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't
because he's been sending me SOS messages. I'm just kidding. Actually, he was very interested in hearing what you had to say.
That's what I was going to mention next. But I probably won't even mention it because I really don't want to give out his name or maybe have a clue to give out my name. But that's what I was going to mention next. What I mentioned to him. So so that's what I was going to mention next to you. So obviously you know about it because he contacted
and
you.
I also know your name and where you live, dude. So just be cool.
Oh God! You can't be like Big Brother, bro.
No, listen, John, man, you are an incredible caller, and I would really like to invite you to call more often because you really bring a lot to the table. You are not only a great fan of the show, apparently, but you are a super hair loss researcher. I'm going to put you on with Joe, just to let Joe know that he's not losing his job.
Hey, John, what the fuck you trying to do? Take my job away or what, man?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
No, all kidding aside, John, I've been with this show for 14 years, and I must say, you are the best caller we've ever had.
Oh, God.
You are very intelligent. You're very well informed. You're very interesting. You brought a lot of new information.
Well, he definitely did, but don't swell his head too much. The best caller, Joe? Come on. He's pretty damn good, though. Pretty close, but I don't know about the best.
Well, I'm awarding him honorary Paul's Truth Award, Spencer, if you don't mind.
Yeah. And Suncast wants...
Will you issue him a check for $5,000, Spencer?
No, I won't. Suncast actually said, don't scare this guy away by asking if he's gay, okay? Because we want John to keep calling back.
Well, I want to ask you gay. Is he a transsexual, maybe?
Well, Joe, actually, I got a big crush on you, come to think of it. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally straight.
No, John, all kidding aside, you are very informed. I think there's... Let me ask you a question. What is your opinion on Latisse that's being FDA approved in 2013 be released by Allergan? What is your opinion on that?
Well, actually, Joe, what I was going to mention to you something. I was going to mention something you might find interesting. You know how the FDA is totally on the asses of Adirans and Latisse, to make sure they're safe. But it seems like a total contradiction to me when they're on the asses of these companies, yet they do not do anything to police the hair transplant industry. Because what I really think, if they did something to actually police the hair transplant industry and throw the butchers who are performing these hair transplants in jail, then maybe you wouldn't have had a bad hair transplant, had your head, I don't mean to offend you, but disfigured, and you wouldn't have to go through that shit.
How dare you?
Have to go through that shit, and these guys wouldn't have to go through that shit if there would be someone to police that industry, So
Absolutely.
And the FDA also does not go after these companies who are selling whatever the hell they want, and these doctors who are injecting whatever the hell they want. There's no controls. But yet Adirans, Hygiene, Reposol, they're all scared to death of the FDA. That's the point I made to Spencer before.
Yeah, I mean, the FDA will be on their asses like crazy. Yet Spencer always says, at any given day, someone will be butchered by a hair transplant, yet they do nothing to police the hair transplant industry. That's just a total, an obvious, outright contradiction. It really is.
There you go, guys. Do you want me to leave you guys alone? Because I could take the rest of the night off. I swear to God, I don't mind. I'd love to.
Well, John is a very, very interesting caller. So, John, let me say, have you any prediction on Latisse and how effective it will be?
Didn't you just ask him that question?
He didn't answer it. Once he diverted to another...
Did you see how he tried to avoid the question, Joe?
Well, yeah. I think it'll be good. Hopefully it'll be better. I don't think it'll be a cure-all, but, I hope for the best. I have no choice to be optimistic because living a life with hair loss is just not an option for me. So I really got no choice
how
but
it is.
to be optimistic.
And by the way, guys, in the chat room, I want to let you guys know that you can press the menu bar and go up to change nickname. You can actually put in a nickname for the chat instead of being just a GFQ viewer. So this way people can know who you are, or at least they can, decipher that one person is speaking to another person as opposed to everyone looking like they're, basically the same guy. Even though there's different numbers attached to GFQ viewers, it just makes it more interesting in the chat. So listen, guys, I'm going to have to let John go, Joe. Is that okay?
But John, I hope you call more often. People commenting in the chat room a mile a minute. You are a very, very interesting, well-informed person, and I think you're great, man.
I appreciate it.
No, absolutely. You're a great call, and you got a great voice, by the way. You got a really good radio voice. Very, very interesting to listen to. All right, bro. Listen, keep us informed.
Spencer, one thing before you let me go. I mean, and obviously you don't need to say this on the air. Could I, maybe in terms of emailing you this stuff, maybe could I have an email address I could reach you at so I can email you all of what I said I was going to email you?
I'll tell you what you can do. You can go to the Bald Truth website, and there's a contact form there, and just just send in your contact, and I'll get in touch with you.
Well, actually, I'm on the page. How would I get to that?
Just go to. Let me see. There's a big contact button right in the top, underneath the Bald Truth banner. And it says Home, the show, Watch Live, Bloggers, Forum, Books, and Contact.
I see Register, I see Blogs, I see FAQ, I see Community.
You don't see Contact?
No, no, I don't see it
All right,
here.
Go to the Watch Live page. Are you watching the show from the Bald Truth?
No, actually, I'm not watching. I'm on the message board now.
Oh, you're on the message board. Go to thebaldtruth.com.
Okay.
And you'll see you'll see contact on the top of the site. All right, bro.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Contact.
Yeah. All right, man. I can't give any email out over the airwaves now, and there's been a lot of craziness happening over the last couple of months.
Oh no! I mean, not over the airwaves. I just meant maybe during a break, because obviously I wouldn't abuse your trust or anything like that. All
right. I'll tell you what. Okay. I'll put you on hold. All right.
Okay.
Well, you know what? We're not going to be taking a break for a while. So do me if you just send the contact form in, and I'll get in touch with you. I promise.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, I see contact right here.
All right, bro.
Okay.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Take it easy, John. Take care.
Bye.
888-659-3727. Go ahead.
Just one quick thing, Spencer. I've been corresponding with Joe Trinica in the chat room. Let's take if you don't mind me taking 30 seconds.
I know. First of all, Joe he keeps going into the Stickcam chat and wondering why there's nobody there. It's because we're not using that chat, Joe. Just wanted to let you know.
No, I've been corresponding with him now in the chat room.
I know that, yeah. But earlier, he's like, is anybody here? I thought that was kind of funny.
I told him in the past I had 500 4mm plugs, and he said that's not that much. He's gotten 6,000 additional grafts out of people in that situation. Does that sound possible to you?
It does sound possible, for sure. It depends on how what your donor hair looks like.
What?
It depends on what your donor area looks like.
Oh, 'cause he said it has to do with scalp laxity. What does that mean?
Yeah, it has to do with the laxicity of your scalp, how elastic your scalp is, how much play you have in your scalp.
Can I test that myself at home?
You actually can, and Joe can actually tell you how to do that. And he can also prescribe, well, he can't prescribe anything, but he can tell you what exercises to do to actually loosen your scalp, and it works.
Oh, really? Wow. That's very interesting. Well, I don't take any more time. I just want to say that guy John is just a great call, man. I don't know what
he's a great call. He's got a great voice. I love listening to him. He's very, it's almost comforting, you know, a very, very unique voice. All right, Joe, I'm going to put you on hold. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
This is Marcus from New York City, and I am definitely uncomfortable in my own skin, and I'm man enough to admit it.
What's happening, Marcus? How are you?
First of all, I want to second the apotheosis of John as the best caller ever, and here's why. Joe, you were just bang on with this one, because, you know, when you focus on something so hard, chances are you miss it. You miss the target. In this way, he's coming at it orthogonally, you know, and sometimes when you do that side action, that's when breakthroughs happen.
Yeah.
I really like that guy.
Yeah, I think he's great. He's awesome, and I hope that, John, if you're listening, you know, anything you have to share with us on a weekly basis, call in. You are welcome on The Bald Truth anytime.
You know, if I had the time, that's the kind of pursuit I would be undertaking.
Yeah.
This guy, he's onto something. And, hey, John, take it from a veteran, truthfully, a veteran, man. You picked through my head, man, you would see the battle scars. And this guy, hey, he might be our cure.
You know what? You never know. You never know.
Exactly.
As insane as that sounds. And we could all track it back to John and The Bald Truth and all of you guys, man. You know, all of you guys that are, you know, taking the time to do your research and to, you know, be a part of this fraternity. I mean, listen, Joe, who knows? Joe may end up doing it. He may end up...
Exactly. They're the combo, Joe and John.
So what's happening, man? How you been?
All in all, pretty good. And I just want to give you guys a little update. I've been liking the PRP. I think, you know, is it, you know, turning me into some chia pet? No, but I got to tell you, I do think there's some progress.
Look, I can tell you that there's someone in my personal life, a family member, who has been going down to see Joe, who I've sent, and
Right.
she's gone on several occasions, and she swears by it. She definitely doesn't think that it is the end-all, be-all as far as, you know, hair growth, but there's no doubt that when she returns from the procedure and she contacts me, she's like, look, I just feel better, my hair looks better, and it seems to be, you know, the shedding seems to be slowing down. There's definitely something to it. And I don't seem to be getting the same type of communication from people who are going elsewhere for whatever reason. So maybe, you know, Greco's camp are the guys that are really doing it right.
Well, Greco is convinced he's doing it right. He's convinced he has a patented formula. And for my own 2 cents, I will probably visit him for a third time. That's just how sanguine I'm feeling these days.
I'm actually, you know, I've been having a shoulder issue, which to tell you the truth, this is the first drink I've had in about a month. I've been dieting pretty heavily this last month, and I noticed since I've changed my diet, like I guess maybe I was having some sort of an inflammatory effect in my shoulder. I seem to feel much better, but I was considering going down to see Joe Greco to have PRP in my rear delt. And I was talking to him about it because he's telling me that he's been treating athletes.
Not a bad idea at all.
And I'm really considering it because I'm noticing that at least from all the people that are contacting me who are having PRP done, it seems, again, I'm repeating myself, Joe's camp is the camp that seems to be benefiting people for the most part as far as the averages are concerned. I got a couple of people that came out of DeArmond's office that are happy with his PRP. But I'm not getting the same response from some of the other guys.
Well, first of all, I'm certain that Greco is more obsessed by this than anyone else. So he is drilling down deeper, from what I can gather.
I agree.
Question for you, Spence: Are you nocturnal, or do you get to bed at a pretty decent hour?
Well, I have to fix my headphones here. I used to be nocturnal. I used to go to bed like 4 o'clock in the morning. In the last, I'd say 2 years, I have changed completely, and I'd say I get to bed by 10 o'clock now.
Oh, wow. Then it's not a hormonal issue for you anymore.
No.
In other words, your adrenals and everything else are firing according to the diurnal cycle, so you're fine. Hey, I just want to relay one incident I had, which to me is kind of telling, because I know a lot of people out there who listen, this is psychologically distressing for them, and it is for me too, don't get me wrong. And in fact, sometimes I do not practice what I preach, but still, I try to tell myself to. And it's this. I went out one afternoon, and I ran some errands. And everything was going fine. In fact, nobody was saying this, that, or here about me. And truthfully, usually when I go out, if I don't wear a hat, I paint my head. But unlike you at least have sculpture. I just have canvas. That's how flat, two-dimensional my scalp is, okay, and my hair. So I got to go just with, the paint. I don't like the stuff out there, the nature or anything else. In fact, I have found some stuff that I think is super clean. It's called 100% pure, and it's just vegetable pigment.
Really?
It's super clean stuff, and it's basically a woman's line. It's some kind of foundation for the face, but hey, I put it on the crown, and it's doing the job.
I'm looking it up right now. 100% pure cosmetics.
Yeah, beautiful stuff, and it's the cleanest I've been able to find by far.
And what do you use?
And again, remember, I use the cocoa, man.
So what exactly?
The cocoa shade.
It's cocoa shade. So what is it for? Is it a
it's a foundation. For facial makeup.
Okay.
Yeah. Foundation for facial makeup. And, you just go into a place, you buy it. Hey, if you guys are squeamish about that, just tell them you're getting a gift for your girl or something, Screw it. In any event, again, it's really clean. It's really good. But be that as it may, I went out, I was running some errands, and things were great. And I was, dealing with people regularly. In fact, I think I was getting better reactions from people than before.
Wow.
Than usual. And it had nothing to do with what I was doing, because here's what I wanted to say. I came home probably about an hour and 15 minutes later, and to my horror, I discovered I went out of the apartment without wearing a hat or without putting my makeup on. I didn't even know it.
Oh, my God. You just forgot.
I forgot.
Wow.
And it just registered on me that, you know what? I thought nothing of it. Nobody thought anything of it. And it's not so much what's on your head, but what's in your head that really counts.
Dude, that's actually really profound. That's the truth. And it's so interesting coming from you, who has been through so much and has lived his life for how many years, I have no idea, covering up. And you went out there bare, and you had a better day than usual.
But the critical part was because, hey, we're pretty vain in this tribe, and we become so self-conscious. But because I wasn't even aware of what the hell I was doing, I was free.
Yeah, you were free. That's well said. It's like
I was free.
Yeah,
now, I may
it's
not
like
be
my
able to
sex
repeat
life.
it.
That's what I tell my common law, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm free.
Oh, hey, listen, naivete is the best to be in bed.
That's right, man. Ignorance is bliss.
It is.
I had a girlfriend for a while. I would see her. I was so miserable at this point in my life, and I would just, and this was probably the stupidest person I've ever known, as far as anyone I really spent time with. And beautiful girl. I mean, drop dead gorgeous. But I would see her. She would be driving, and she would just have this look on her face, and she would always be smiling. And I was like, you know what? Ignorance is bliss. And it's so true. And she probably watched. This is like 25 years ago. Whatever. She probably watches me now, and she's real embittered that I decided to go my own way and all that stuff. But I envied her for that, because she had nothing on her fucking mind.
No, it is. It's the same as, when athletes are in the zone, so to speak. They're not thinking about their technique. I mean, figure it this way. The female vulva, that's one of the most complicated contraptions in all of creation. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're reading every manual on that device, and then you hop in bed and you think you're going to really start this thing up using whatever you might have read about, you're lost.
Absolutely,
Forget it.
yeah.
You don't stand a chance. All you can really do is dive in. I mean, really.
It's luck of the draw. I mean, hopefully she'll guide you a little bit. That's all. That's all I ask. Just give me a little help. I'll buy dinner. You help out in that department.
They usually, they're the ones who usually take you in anyhow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Girls are great that way. They're great.
Well, the thing about Marcus is that new listeners may not realize is that Marcus is a real swordsman. And with all of his issues and the fact that he's had multiple surgeries and he has got scars all over his head, according to him, and he is one of the walking wounded in this world of this fraternity, he still pulls the chicks.
Put it this way. Hold on, Spencer. I have to correct you. It's not just my own perception. I've been to these. I've been to people that like the Herzigs and the Grecos and so forth.
Right.
I've been to these. They've examined me. They know the X-ray treatment I've been through.
Right.
I mean, seriously, I'm going to be a case study whenever I go.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And that just, I think that speaks volumes for your character and your ability to deal in life and how, emotionally equipped you are to just do what you have to do to live a good life. And you were the one that coined the phrase that, living as a hair loss sufferer, there may be life after hair loss, but it's half a life. But even your half a life is so much more than so many guys who are on our message forum, who are watching and listening to this broadcast. They wish that they can somehow have a life like yours, and you consider it a half a life. Imagine what some of these guys are living.
Guys, whatever it takes, go and do it. Whether it's a rug, a hat, a razor blade, whatever it is, to shave your head down, or not your head off, but shave your whatever it is, do it. Because, and you know what? You're so right, Spencer. All the times you say, the more you come out, the more positive reception you'll find out there.
Absolutely. Guys are so, we think that we can't be honest with our issues. I think women, even the honest women, they are much more willing to accept someone who might be a little self-deprecating, who's honest about their issues, than someone who's constantly trying to put on airs and trying to be a poser. Because eventually, even if that poser is a great-looking model type of guy, they get very tired of that. In the end, they have to spend time with you. In the end, they have to live their life with you and pay bills with you and shop with you and deal with their parents with you and all that shit. And, they want someone who is equipped to deal with their life and, deal with whatever issues come their way. And they don't want someone who is so miserable and so insecure that all they're concerned about is the way that they look. And now, listen, I do this for a living. This is what I do because I was so fucked up by it, and I still am. However, and believe me, I'm not the most confident guy in the world when it comes to my hair, and that affects the way I feel about my looks. But it is what it is. What am I going to do about it? I'm not going to hang myself because of it. I'm going to do my best. Go ahead.
Right. And on top of that, women, and even, the more beautiful they get, the more that they need to be name-checked and called out, and the more that they're receptive to that.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause they understand all the yes people that when you're a beautiful woman, you get all the doors open.
That's right.
And they know it. They know it's BS to a point.
And
so the more you level with them, the more that they value you as, hey, you're giving me a real reflection.
Look, I'm telling you, as a guy, and this is going to sound obnoxious, who has been with beautiful women, who has a really beautiful woman right now, who is, just where a lot of guys would think that this person is unattainable. That's bullshit, man. It's complete bullshit. These people, they're people. They want to enjoy their lives. They want to be, they want to feel good around you. They want to laugh and enjoy life and go places and, just live they're normal people that want to live a normal life. Just because they're beautiful doesn't mean that they're unattainable. And all these guys think that's the case.
No. Listen, man. What I call that stuff the unobtainium, and that usually is the hottest, most electrifying sex. That's the stuff you got to go for.
I always say this, man. It doesn't matter how insecure I felt as a younger person. I wouldn't go for the 4s because I felt that, okay, I can get the 4. You go for the 10. And if you're rejected by, 5 out of 10 10s, you're still going to get a 10. You're still going to get a 9. Why, anyone could reject you, so why not go for the hottest chick in the room?
Spence, you know the old saying. The only reason to go for a 6 is to get to the 9.
That's right. That's right.
Because
man.
the sixes hang out with 9s and so forth. That's the only reason.
That's right, man. Listen, Marcus, it's always a pleasure. You have something else to say?
Yeah, quickly, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe and John, stay on the case. One of these days, maybe we should form some kind of research team, man. I would volunteer if you guys put that together.
Well, you know what? I would love for them to both do the research, call into the Ball of Truth, and we're going to be doing some more stuff during the week, kind of some informal type of broadcast, which I want everyone to be a part of as well. The only issue is I want, we're going to have access to have the ability for people to turn on their video cameras at home and join the show with their faces, for everyone to see.
Right.
Who's going to be willing to do that? Now, would you be willing to do that, Marcus?
I'll come to it, yeah.
That's great. All right, well,
lastly, Joe, despite what we said about John, and hey, it was the call of the century, but your forgiveness of your mother, that trumps all. So that was the best way to start Mother's Day. Thanks for that, Joe.
I agree. Marcus from New York, thank you so much for calling.
Take it easy, everyone.
Take it easy. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, this is Joe calling in for Spencer.
What's up, Joe? How are you, man?
I'm trying to sound like John. I was trying to get such a good voice. He was such a good call. I was trying to.
He was
awesome.
Get
some points.
But you're always a great caller too, man. What's happening?
Man. Well, first, I heard a few things that Marcus was saying, and one thing I got to say about beautiful women is no matter how hot a chick is, there's some guy in the world that's tired of putting up with her shit.
That's right. And no matter how hot a chick is, she still thinks she's fat.
Exactly. There you go.
That's the way that it is.
There you go.
People, guys they're so intimidated by hot women. But you know what what hot women do? They spend half their time looking in the mirror saying, thinking what's wrong with me, that I'm not good enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and they're just like us, man.
But I heard I was reading what people were saying and listening to you guys at the same time, and I thought I heard something about how Marcus has gained his life back, even though it's the second half of his life, or what were you saying about that?
He's saying that there's life after hair loss, but it's a half a life. But when I was what I always say is, Marcus may think in his mind that he's living half the life that he should be living because of everything that he had to deal with, but he has a very robust life. This guy is always talking about the chicks that he's with and the life that he has and the success that he has in his business. Most guys will never see that type of life. So he's actually living a really good life.
Okay, so his half a life is a full life for anyone else.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. See, I misunderstood because I was going to say, my life started, I don't want to say started, but my life turned around for the better, obviously, 10 years ago when I had my first surgery with Dr. Wong.
Right.
Before that, it was, the previous 10 years was just, suffering and dealing and, doing what I could to get by.
Right.
And, now that I've been repaired, yeah, okay. So different scenario, but yeah. So
yeah, but as bad as your hair transplant was, apparently Marcus has had some, bad scalp reductions. I mean, the integrity of his entire scalp has changed. He's had, I don't know if he's had a scalp lift or not. I don't remember, but he's had multiple procedures, Unger, and just a lot of bad work. and he still
Yeah.
figured out a way to get past it and live his life.
Well, you know, I can relate a little bit to that because before I was repaired, I was still able to move on, and even though it was in the back of my mind somehow, you know, I always knew that people were looking at it.
Yeah.
I was still able to push it to the back and kind of still be fairly successful with my social circles. So I can relate to a small degree, but I mean, it sounds like he's really found the silver bullet, so to speak, for his issues. So
Yeah, but when I look at your old pictures, I got to tell you, man, it's day and night. It's day and night. No offense, dude, but yeah, there was a time in your life where it had to be difficult because it was really pluggy. It was not a great look.
Well, you know, yeah, well, it wasn't working for me. That's for sure.
You know, and you have always had a good face, so you're kind of lucky in that respect. There are guys who would be totally fucked, but it did not look good. And you are, God, thank God you found Hassan Wong.
Thank God, exactly. And it was 10 years ago this year, actually. Actually, in March, it was 10 years ago that I first walked through the doors of the repair patient. So
wow,
that's time flies. Time flies.
Now, I don't know if everyone knows your experience, though. I mean, but what was that experience when you walked in, you had your consult? I mean, I heard some interesting stuff, you know, and you had told me that you basically broke down during the initial consult. You told me
it wasn't the consult, actually. I had, quick history. I got divorced, and it was like, okay, time to get back into the social scene. Now I look like an idiot. I need to get this fixed. What do? I went online, found that there was a consultation office in Seattle. That's when I first met Mike.
Right.
Mike Furco. And, you know, he was like, yeah, we can fix it up, no problem, this, that, bada bing, bada boom. And I walked out feeling, you know, I was walking in cloud nine. And I walked out, and I was like, wait a minute, that guy just told me everything I wanted to hear.
Right.
What the hell's wrong with me? And so I went online, and that's when Joe Tronic was born. I, you know, started my alias and started asking questions. And anyway, fast forward, I decided to take a date, and I was driving up to Vancouver, and I crossed the border, and I was driving towards Vancouver, and I just pulled over because it was like, wait a minute, what the hell am I about to do?
Right.
I've never even met this guy before, and I'm about to have surgery again in Canada.
Right. I think that's what everyone is thinking when they go to see Hassan Wong.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I called my best friend who was the reason why I had the old work done. You know, he and I both went in together, and he also had horrible results that Dr. Wong fixed up. But I just started crying. I
can't imagine.
I was weeping because it was 9 years of suffering that I was about to relieve myself of, and that was the first real emotional breakdown I'd ever had about the horrible results that I'd been living with. And it was strange. It was almost like the pain of living with a pluggy hairline and nothing behind it was some sort of crutch. It was like the only thing I could ever rely on because I knew it was always going to be there.
Right.
I don't know, you know, strange psychological issues there, but
of course, I can't even imagine what it's like. You know, I talk about the comb over and the hairspray, and the paint, and I realize when I hear guys who went through what you went through, or Joe from Staten Island, or Johnny Ohio, or all the other countless walking wounded, how fucking lucky I am that I just had the wherewithal to step back and say, you know what, this is not for me.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is Mike always tells me, he goes, not only did you do it once, he did it twice. What the hell were you thinking?
Right.
You know?
Because you're hoping, okay, wait a second, it's got to get better than this. I just need more sessions.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going through. And my best friend from high school, God bless him, he complained to them after the second one and said, you know, I need this fixed. And they said, okay, come on, we'll do you a third time for free.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he was worse than I was.
Yeah. Wow.
And but yeah, so you know, I was sitting there and I was talking to him, and he said, "Well, it seems like they're a good outfit." You know, this is before anyone really knew who Hassan Wong was. They they weren't the big, you know, internet.
Are you kidding me, man? I remember when Mike Furco called me up. He said I didn't call him back. You know, and I remember when Victor and Jerry applied to the group. And Jerry, who is an incredible surgeon, his pictures were kind of dark, and I rejected him. And I said, you got to send me better pictures. You know, people don't realize that.
He's not the greatest photographer in the world. God bless him. But,
Yeah.
He's improved a bit since then. But yeah, so I put the Toyota in first gear and pulled out, and the rest is history. So yeah, it was interesting. I almost didn't go through with it. I almost turned around.
Well, I'm so glad that you decided to move forward with it, because not only did you change your life, you ended up changing the lives of thousands of people. You know, just by your presence on the message forums, your presence on Bald Truth Talk and elsewhere in the hair loss community. You really, and this sounds, you know, like I'm stroking you, but it's the truth. You really changed a lot of lives, and I think, you know, you might not get enough credit for that.
Well, I appreciate that, Spencer. And you know, what makes me feel good about what I do is the fact that I still enjoy doing what I do, and I still get these ideas on how to get the message out there about, you know, what good work is like. And you know, the great thing is that there are fewer instances of guys getting messed up due to quack surgeons as opposed to 10 years ago when I first started doing this.
Oh yeah.
And you know, efforts from you and you know, other patients sharing their experiences, that certainly caused, I think, some of the less than stellar doctors to run for cover. So
let me ask you a question. Why do I still get so much shit on some of the message forums? What the fuck is that about? Why do you get so much shit? Yeah. These guys are saying that I'm somehow controlling the cure for hair loss, and I don't even understand how anyone can actually believe that.
You know, how can you believe a lot of things out there? I mean, I don't know. You're obviously an influential personality in this industry for sure. If you are holding back the cure, I'm coming to LA and we're going to have some words.
Dude, if I was holding back the cure, I would have given it to you by now, and to Joe.
Yeah, exactly. But no, you know what? I think you should look at it as a compliment to think that people believe you have that much power.
Yeah, no, I do. I just kind of like, I find it funny. It's a little aggravating sometimes, especially for, you know, the some of the craziness that is written about me. But the truth of the matter is, you know, I have to look at it like you said. You know, it is certainly a compliment. And you know, you are one person who has, like myself, really been out there trying to educate hair loss consumers. It seems like forever. You say it's only 10 years. It seems longer than that. I mean, I've been doing this for 14 years, and it seems like you were there from the beginning, but I guess, you know, pretty close.
Well, I was there from the beginning of you know, people sharing online their, not just before and afters, but, you know, the 10 months before you know, in between the before and after, because I was the first one to do it.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe that's why, you know, you think I've been around longer, because it seems like, you know, I tell people that people haven't really been sharing online like that for that long, and people just don't realize that the internet hasn't even been around that long, much less people, you know, haven't been sharing for 30 years.
But, you know, it's a different type of sharing now. I see guys sharing, but never to the extent that you have. And, you know, for a while there were some guys who were, but I don't, that kind of seems to have died out. You know, you see guys who are starting to share a little bit, but just it's not the same.
Well, I think that there are, to be honest with you, I think there's some support circumstances that might have fizzled, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think you know what I'm talking about with some of these guys out there, you know, are unofficially quote unquote sponsored.
Yeah, absolutely. I do know what you mean. Sure.
Yeah, and maybe the funding dried up.
Yeah.
Who knows? But you know, I've got a couple things planned. I told you a while ago I've been doing these recordings while I'm driving to and from work with different thoughts on the industry, but I'm also going to be rehashing some of the videos I made years ago, but this time with HD video. Like, I'm going to be shooting a new video of needles versus blades, and I don't know if you saw that. Did you see the one I did?
I did. I think I've seen just about everything you've done.
Okay, so
whatever you put online or on your site, I've seen.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be reshooting that, but in HD. And I've got some more angles and information I'm going to be adding to it, and it's going to be a lot more visually hard-hitting. to show how things are done and what it can mean for someone's skin tissue. It's pretty interesting. I've been writing it and putting it together for a few weeks, and I hope to be shooting it this week or next week.
Well, I'd love you to put it on the Bald Truth or Bald Truth Talk, I should say, so that people can
oh, absolutely,
comment on it and check it out.
I'm going to be putting it everywhere I can, my friend.
I know you will. I know you will.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Let's talk about the hair loss forum world. I will tell you that I've been around for a long time. Obviously, we just started our forum 3 years ago, and it's thank God, and this is not hyperbole. It's huge at this point. We've surpassed the majority of the forums that have been around for over a decade. But what I'm noticing is the forum world is changing to some degree. Besides guys who are, you don't see the same type of documentation that you saw when you were doing it. But I'm also noticing that there kind of seems to be, less interest from the forum owners in their own forums. And I don't know if you've noticed that, but it seems like there's kind of it's just become, for a while, obviously when it started, it was the Wild West, but there are certain forums now that just seem like the forum guys, the owners are they just disappeared. They don't even exist anymore.
That's interesting. I think across the board, I know on your site you've always had a fairly hands-off attitude and policy as far letting people do. I know you screen things, but you don't really get in the mix. Number one, I've noticed that there's a lot less. I could say it nicely by saying debate, and then there's a lot less. A lot fewer cat fights, to be honest, and that's a good thing. But at the same time, I think that there's an attitude of political correctness that has permeated the forums to, I think, a degree that is damaging, actually, because I think that too few people are actually speaking their minds. And the forum ownership, a different subject, and I'm sorry to digress on that, but
sure.
I think you're right. Yeah, there's less involvement, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I would say that I do agree. There is less direct involvement on the various forums for sure.
But I know the point that you're trying to make, and I don't disagree with it. But I also think that there needs to be some sort of decorum on the forums that at one point never existed. And I think there should be some sort of a mutual respect from users, not to bully each other and not to discount other people's opinions. But I do think those opinions should be allowed to be stated on all forums. And I'm just noticing on some forums there seems to be more censorship than there used to be. Just things are just changing. That's all I can tell you. And then there's one forum that's just the Wild West. That's still there, and you're involved in that forum to some degree as well.
Yeah, but you know what? It's just fun. I mean,
no, I get that. It is fun.
It's fun because some of the things that people say I just got to laugh, and I enjoy the forum because of the comedic factor. But it is nice to see a different point of view that some of these guys come from, and I even think that forum has kind of changed quite a bit, where there's a lot more people, like on the hair transplant side of that forum, screaming from the rooftops about Dr. Go and Histogen and Replacel and all these things. Coming in saying, "Oh, hair transplantation is done," and you guys are, you can be out of a job, and it's like whatever. But there's a little too much of that. But
and there's a lot of that, and these are the same guys that somehow think that I am just trying to keep hair transplants alive for my own pocketbook. And what's insane about that to me is there would be so much more money in my pocket if a technology like Go's would get to the masses, if it actually worked. I mean, I would be able to quadruple my income within a year, and that's not even an exaggeration, maybe even more.
Spencer, I'm just going to go ahead and reveal the truth for the listeners.
I'd like to hear it, yes.
Everyone, I have a major announcement. Spencer is, well, you've heard the name before, the man. Spencer is the man. He's holding it down, and he's keeping it real. It's a big conspiracy. So, Yeah, there you go. Sorry, man. I let it out. I couldn't.
Well, I appreciate it. It's 15 minutes after the hour. I know he started about 5 minutes late, but I got to get out of here. Joe Tillman, Hassan and Wong, Joe Tronic Online, thank you so much for calling as usual.
Oh, it was fun. It was fun.
And I'm glad you're feeling better because I tried to call you last week to give you some interesting news, which I'll call you about tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I didn't know that. Yeah, I was out Thursday and Friday. It was a bit under the weather, sore throat. So you can still hear it a little bit, I think. But
No, you sound good.
I'm on the mend.
I'm glad you're feeling better, man.
Thank you very
much. All right,
much.
bro. Have a good night.
All right, you too.
All right. All right, I'm potting up I'm potting up George and Joe from Staten Island to say goodnight to everybody. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out.
I want to congratulate you, great show, Spencer. And I just want all the hair loss sufferers out there to wish your mothers a happy Mother's Day, to give them the atrocity that they perpetrated upon them. They didn't mean it.
All right, George. I'm glad you found that funny.
What can I say to top that?
You can't. Just say goodnight. I know your cat is saying goodnight to everybody.
Hey, I forgave my mom, and you can too.
All right, guys, listen, have a good night. The website's thebaldtruth.com. For the American Hair Loss Association, AmericanHairLoss.org. If you want to join and communicate with join our message forum and communicate with other hair loss sufferers, check out baldtruthtalk.com. If you're a woman suffering with hair loss, please do yourself a favor. Check out the largest and the most respected online community for women dealing with hair loss. Check out womenshairlossproject.com. Until next time, please be strong and God bless.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you.